So there's a lot of talent at receiver coming out in the 2021 NFL draft. And typically the two guys that most people have at the top of the list are Jamar Chase and DeVonta Smith. Jamar Chase, spectacular 2019, won the Biletnikoff Award, but decided not to play in 2020. So he's a guy that we haven't seen in a little while. And he's out of sight, out of mind. That's how it's been. We haven't heard much from Jamar Chase. We haven't seen him in a long time. On the flip side, you have a guy like DeVonta Smith, who was a little bit overshadowed by Jerry Jeudy, by Henry Ruggs, and even going into this season, a lot of people had Jalen Waddle being that guy and envisioned Jalen Waddle being the guy to step in and do some big things, and he did before he got injured. DeVonta Smith was able to step in, and he went on to win the Heisman Trophy this past season. So what I want to do with this video is take a look at a few clips of DeVonta Smith when he's going against man coverage, and I really want to take a look at how he's able to handle that type of coverage. And I also want to take a look at a few things schematically that Alabama was able to do to not have DeVonta Smith in those situations where he was being pressed at the line of scrimmage, or where teams could take advantage of him not being a bigger and more physical receiver. So this first clip is from the national championship game against Ohio State, and DeVonta Smith is up against Shaun Wade, who is an NFL prospect. He's a guy that was at the top of a lot of lists as far as the top cornerbacks coming out in this draft. He's tapered off a little bit, but his name is still out there, and he's a guy that will be playing on Sundays. I'm sure Ohio State, they thought that they can get away with putting him one-on-one against DeVonta Smith here. They probably were thinking, we're going to put our best guy up against your best guy, and we're going to see what happens. Now, if you watch the game, it seemed like DeVonta Smith was running wide open the entire game. He really had a tremendous game. And people were wondering why Ohio State didn't get as physical with him. Well, if you were one of those people wondering that, you can see that this is a reason why. You can't do it. It sounds good. It sounds easy to just go and press a guy and get physical and bump him at the line of scrimmage, but that's not always the reality of things. DeVonta Smith, he doesn't do anything crazy right here. He just gets off the ball with speed. He gives Shaun Wade a little bit of sauce at the line of scrimmage, and he just outruns him because he has that type of speed and he has that type of ability. And if you're going to come out and you're going to play DeVonta Smith this way, this is the end result that you're going to get. And you don't have to be a 215-pound receiver or a physical type receiver when you can just simply run past guys. Now, if you're Ohio State's defense coordinator, you probably got the head coach in your ear cussing you out because you can't find a way to get this guy covered. Now, what do? Same thing here versus Georgia. You get press man coverage, man free. You got DeVonta Smith up against Tyson Campbell, who is another guy that's most likely going to be playing on Sundays. And on this play, you get pretty much the same look, not overly physical press coverage. And in reality, a lot of teams choose to play man coverage like this. You'll see some teams that'll be overly physical with their corners if they feel like that's something that they can do. But you'll also have teams that will be a little bit more patient, let the receiver declare himself, and then react accordingly using good technique and using the athleticism that corner has. But on this play, DeVonta Smith, once again, he closes the cushion quickly. He gets that corner to open up one way. Once he gets that corner to open up his hips and turn in one direction, he's going to redirect back inside, and it's pretty much over from that point. And unless you're a guy that has elite recovery skills and you can really make up that distance, then you're at the mercy of the receiver, and that's exactly what happens right here. DeVonta Smith is able to close that cushion, open that DB's hips, get him going one way, redirect the other way, get upfield, get open, and he makes the play right here. Now on this play, you're getting far more physical coverage here. The DB from Georgia, he's really getting his hands on it, and he's really trying to be physical with DeVonta Smith on this play. Now, first of all, down the field, this is holding. You can't really do that. This will be a penalty every time in the NFL, or it should be a penalty. So that DB, he's really riding DeVonta Smith's hip all the way down the field. Now, despite the DB holding DeVonta Smith and that physical coverage there, Smith does a good job of fighting through that contact. He knows where he needs to be on this play, and he's fighting through that contact to get to his spot. And once he gets to that spot, the most important thing that he does here out of his break is he attacks the ball in the air. He's not waiting for it. He's not fazed by the physical press coverage by that defender. He's still working, fighting through that contact to get to his spot, to get to where he needs to be in his route, and then he fights through that contact to get to the ball, and that's a really good job by DeVonta Smith. Nobody else was open. Quarterback didn't have any options, and he went to his go-to guy. And DeVonta Smith did what he needed to do to get open on that play. He found a way. And when we talk about physicality and getting physical with DeVonta Smith, that's as physical as it's going to get. And if he can find a way to defeat that, as we see on this play, then I feel like he can find a way to defeat any physical press coverage. National championship, once again, DeVonta Smith against Shaun Wade. Now, Shaun Wade, he's been a little bit more physical here, and he's trying to get hands on DeVonta Smith. Now we're getting into the more nuanced aspect of things where your receiver and your quarterback, they're on the same page. Quarterback knows, hey, if I'm not beating that DB over the top initially, then we're going to throw that back shoulder fade, and that's exactly what happens here, what I think happens here with Alabama. DeVonta Smith, he's not able to initially beat Shaun Wade like he did on that previous play, and he's really attached to his hip. Well, if you practiced it enough and your quarterback and receiver are on the same page, then they're going to throw that back shoulder fade every single time. You see it in the NFL. You see it right here on this play. DeVonta Smith was not able to win vertically like he did before with speed, so we're going to throw that back shoulder. And he's talented enough to be able to stop his upfield momentum. He has excellent body control, so he's able to adjust and make this play right here. Now, a lot of people tend to simplify these things. You know, they just say, hey, well, press DeVonta Smith at the line of scrimmage and you're going to be able to neutralize him. He's only 170 pounds. You should be able to cover him. That's not how a lot of these things work. I thought Alabama did a tremendous job of putting DeVonta Smith in positions where he wasn't going to be pressed at the line of scrimmage, where he wasn't going to be disrupted at the line of scrimmage. And one of the ways they did that is by alignment and formation. Alabama comes out right here on this play in this 3-by-1 bunch set. DeVonta Smith is the number one receiver, and he's aligned off the ball. What does that tell me? That tells me that you're not going to be able to press him. So you think, all right, he's 100 pounds. I should be able to get my most physical DB on him and press him at the line of scrimmage and disrupt him. Well, if Alabama is going to come out in this formation, then you're not going to be able to do that. So because of this formation, DeVonta Smith can't be pressed at the line of scrimmage, and then the route concept puts him in a position where he's running one-on-one down the middle of the field with a Mike linebacker. Now, 9 times out of 10, I'd say 10 times out of 10, no Mike linebacker in college football or in the NFL is going to be able to cover DeVonta Smith one-on-one down the middle of the field. Look at how open he gets on this play, and if the ball were thrown to him, that might be 6 right there if you're asking me. So excellent job by Alabama. They do this all over their film. They find ways to put Smith in different positions to get the ball. Another way is the screen game. And this ties into the formation stuff where they put him in a compressed formation, get him off the ball so he's not able to be pressed by alignment. And they just run a bubble screen here out to the perimeter, get a couple guys out there on the perimeter that can block effectively. And anytime you're able to get DeVonta Smith the ball in this position, he has the ability to turn it into a big play. Alabama got him the ball here, no press coverage, not disrupting him off the line of scrimmage. Just get the ball in his hands, pitch and catch, and you see what he's able to do with it. Another thing that you can do as an offense is picks and rubs. That's a good way to get guys open, especially against physical press man coverage. Any of these types of plays are going to be really beneficial for DeVonta Smith because it's just going to free him up. And with his speed, all he needs is a little space. He doesn't need too much. He just needs a little space to be able to operate and do what he needs to do out there on the field. On this play, Ohio State's playing man coverage. DeVonta Smith does a good job with his patience and setting that DB up with his footwork at the line of scrimmage. And what that does is set that guy up just to be picked by the number 2 receiver coming back from the outside in, and DeVonta Smith comes wide open on this play. Now, you could say this is a penalty here by that number 2 receiver on the pick. Doesn't get called, and if it's not called, then it's not a penalty. But if you can just envision in your mind and you can, just imagine how many things you'd be able to do as a coordinator if you're able to get DeVonta Smith in positions where he's not being roughed up at the line of scrimmage. I think Alabama did a really good job of that throughout the season. Last thing, you also have motions. Motions are a really good and really effective way to get guys open. And Alabama, they use those a lot throughout the season if you watch their film. On this play, Ohio State comes out in man coverage, and at the snap, DeVonta Smith comes in motion in one direction, but then he redirects and goes back the opposite way. Number 7 right here, who's responsible for DeVonta Smith on this play, he's got to go with him on that motion. He's got to follow him around the field. And as he tries to follow DeVonta Smith, he gets lost in everything. He's so worried and so concerned about being beat and out-leveraged across the field that he completely loses sight of DeVonta Smith going back in the opposite direction. He gets caught in everything and all the trash of the route concept and bodies flying around. He gets caught up in all that. Now he has no clue where DeVonta Smith is. And then you get DeVonta Smith coming out of the back door, wide open, pitch and catch, nice and easy for an easy touchdown right there for Alabama. So to end this thing, DeVonta Smith, from watching his film, he wasn't pressed a lot. A lot of teams didn't even risk it to try to press him and exposing themselves and potentially getting beat over the top for an explosive game. When teams did decide to press him, he had some wins, a lot of wins, and he also had some losses. Typical, just like every other receiver is going to have. That's nothing outrageous, but big picture thinking here. In the grand scheme of things, DeVonta Smith's speed, his quickness, his ability to get open is something that he's shown consistently on film, and I think that skill set is going to translate to the next level. I think he's going to be fine, even though he's not a physically imposing receiver. Because of all those skills that I mentioned before, he should be able to get open against anybody, and I don't think he's going to have too many issues at the next level based on his size or anything like that.